I have a dream that my four little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Hands down, one of the most iconic and inspirational speeches ever said. But that was just one man's dream. What's yours?
I guess to me a perfect world would be a place where people can manage to agree on things or at least talk it out rather than just argue and fight over everything, where everyone's more open-minded.
Listen what other people think. We need to value those things also.
Everyone has the capability and opportunity to be who they are without having to worry about
race divisions such as black versus white, things like that.
Without any anger or hatred or racism or any of these issues we are experiencing today.
You know, growing up, my dad's been an officer for over 20 years, so I've always looked to law enforcement for any time for when I need protection.
A perfect world would be a world without malice, without intentional harm, because
you see white cops shooting black kids, unarmed black kids at that, and killing them for, you know, who knows what reason.
I feel like we grow as people in suffering, and when there's like no intentional malice, no harm, you can grow with other people in your suffering, in suffering together, but no intentional suffering.
Like I see the universe like this. Like
all people need to come together for the greater good, because only then can we move forward and become better.
Like universe, like it's like a big musical, and everyone is like an instrument playing a note, and hopefully we can play it in unison.
I have a friend who lost her mom, and she said her mom was her best friend, and I can imagine, because my mom is my best friend, you know, like you always go home and talk to them. I'm very close, I'm sure not all people are, but can you imagine losing like your best friend like that? Someone who's not only like your emotional support, but your financial support, your home support, all that stuff. And she, like 2 years later, she's the strongest person I've ever met.
You know, the ego side of me wants to say like renewable energy and free education and all of this, but I think the only real way to obtain what we call a perfect world is to really be at peace with the universe and with what it's doing.
Because accidents happen. I think a world without that would be a world without free will, if anything. And free will is beautiful in itself too. Suffering is beautiful sometimes. I don't know if you've ever been in a moment of suffering and you just grew as a person. You know, because you can understand other people, you understand other beings, like especially in pain. So, I mean, it would be beautiful a world without disease, but maybe a disease that can be conquerable, because growing in suffering is such a beautiful thing. So I think a perfect world cannot be free of suffering, just free of the malice that causes a lot of suffering.